Bell Demon Hunter coming in hot. I'm sure you've already seen this deck, so I'm just going to jump straight into some gameplay here. For me, I feel like the mulligan in the deck, I think it's fine to keep the sigil, but you really just want the relic vault. This deck is kind of sort of almost no relic vault, no win. So I want to try to make sure that I can pick up a relic vault, give myself the best possible chance. And it looks like we'll be able to sigil in the first 2 turns, so that'll be good to draw some additional cards. And you can see here a pretty good start from our opponent with the Void Touched Attendant. So pretty much in this matchup, we just need to survive until turn 6, when we'll have the Spell Power Unleash Fel. It's going to be a massive heal, should heal us all the way back up to full. So I could play the Sigil of Alacrity here, but I think the better play is going to be Hero Power, punch this, and that's going to set up the removal with the Relic of Extinction next turn. So unfortunately, I am going to have to take just a little bit of damage here, but I think it's going to be fine. Again, we're going to be expecting that big heal on turn 6, assuming we can draw the appropriate cards to get that off. I believe this is a pretty standard list here. You're going to notice I prefer Spell Power minions. So there's 2 Guild Traders as well as 2 Silvermoon Arcanists. It's just really good. This kind of throws a little bit of a wrench in my plans. If I could go Thalnos and coin out the Relic of Extinction, and then I have 2 50/50s. Or I could just Relic Vault and then coin out the Relic of Extinction. I'll get 1/1, 2/2. I feel like that gives us the better option to be able to remove the Void Touched Attendant. This really needs to be removed. Also possible that our opponent is going to have the Whispers of the Deep to be able to silence this, so I need to be able to set up a kill on this the following turn, which I may actually just have to do with Predation here. So make sure that I click the Vault and then we pass it back. So hopefully we're going to be killing the Void Touched Attendant. We do. And then you can see here we set this guy down to 1. So not super relevant that this is at 1 health. We just really wanted to get that Void Touched Attendant off the board because of the amount of extra damage that can generate for our opponent. And hopefully we don't see something like an Animate Dead, because it's going to guarantee bring back that 1/3. Again, just a dangerous card. And something that we really need to keep in mind. And if this minion gets silenced, I likely do just have to use Predation to remove it, unless I draw something else, just because we can't afford to take this damage turn after turn. 5 is a lot. And unfortunately, we do see the Animate Dead here from our opponent. And we end up taking, again, just a lot of damage. We're already down to 17. And so again, I feel like we really just have no choice here. We have to Predation to get this off the board. Even just like attack and hero power would be 5 damage. It would set us down to 12. So our opponent really putting out a lot of pressure here. The good news is this turn is relatively weak. The undead that's going to be revived off of this is going to be that 5/5 Corporal, but we should have some time here. That's only going to be 2 damage in and of itself. So I want to get down the Sigil of Alacrity, and I'm just going to go ahead and play the Nerubian Vizier. It's not going to be discounted, but I don't want to hold on to this too long. And unfortunately, none of these options are really all that great. I'm just going to take another Sigil. I do have another Sigil in hand, but we're going to need to be drawing as many cards as possible. We really need to hit a Relic of Dimensions. And now things are starting to look a little bit shaky. We don't have a Spell Power minion. We don't have Unleash Fel. And we're just taking lots of damage every turn. So pretty straightforward here. We're going to use the 3 mana School Teacher. That'll give us 1 mana to be able to cast a Sigil of Alacrity, as well as an additional mana to play the Noggling. So we're hoping for some type of removal. Eye Beam is perfect. And that's going to nullify this guy over here. So we go damage neutral on that. And then again, I just want to draw a card, and I think I can go ahead and preemptively bump this guy. Softens him up a little bit. It's going to make it easier to be able to remove this minion. Our opponent could actually just have the Shadow Word Undeath, which is going to clear our side of the board anyway. So now this would die to like a Spell Power Unleash Fel. But again, unfortunately, we're just not hitting the Spell Power cards that we have. And we're also not hitting Unleash Fel, so it kind of feels like we're on the ropes here. Our opponent has had really strong plays every single turn. Both Animate Deads, Void Touch Attendants. It's just been a really good game from our opponent. So again, it feels like we're struggling here. We're a little bit on the ropes, but we're not totally out of the game just yet. We know this deck has a lot of comeback potential. If we can heal back to 30 with like an Unleash Fell combo, we should just be able to win the game from there pretty easily. And really, we just need to hit an Unleash Fell. I mean, the Thalnos, it may not clear the board, but again, just a big board heal and potentially be pretty good for us here. And kind of wondering now if they have the silence for the 5/5. Definitely don't want to allow this to punch us in the face next turn. Really, either one of these. So we'll see what our top deck is. Potentially, we're just going to be looking for help from School Teacher again. We have Vizier. And yeah, wow, just really the draws have not been there this game. So I think, again, it's just going to be, we're looking for a School Teacher type of out here. And we actually hit an Unleash Fell. It's going to heal us for 3, and we can trade into this guy. It's just going to have to be good enough for the situation that we're in here. And unfortunately, not enough mana to be able to play the Thalnos to go along with this, but we do manage to hit the Unleash Fell here. It's going to heal us for 3. We can take this trade. And then, again, it's just going to be Sigil of Alacrity. And then I'm just going to go ahead and punch face there. May have actually been better to trade into the 5/4, again, to get it down to 3 health, just in case we happen to hit like an Unleash Fell with one of these Spell Power minions. And our opponent drawing cards. That's bad for us, good for our opponent here. Second Void Touch Attendant, we could actually just be dead here based on what our opponent has. So again, just really strong plays turn after turn from our opponent, and we're really just missing the key components for this matchup, which is, again, just that big heal from the Unleash Fell. If we do manage to survive, there's the silence. And again, just so much damage coming out. And we actually just died here, so unfortunately just overwhelmed by a really good hand from our opponents, and then we didn't draw the things that we needed to draw in order to stay relevant in this particular game. Back in for another game. Again, I'm going to keep the Sigil of Alacrity. We're going to mulligan the rest of this stuff. Last game was tough. I almost felt like I didn't really get to play Hearthstone that last game because our deck just was not cooperating with us. We did hit the Relic Vault, and then we didn't hit a single additional relic. So just really, really unfortunate there in that respect. Also, I've noticed Hearthstone has a tendency to troll quite a bit in situations like this. We really needed to draw Unleash Fell last game. And now we have both copies of Unleash Fell in our hand this game when we don't want them. Which is just really unfortunate here. No turn 2 play at all, so we're just going to punch in. So, Hearthstone really likes to troll, man. I see that so much too. A card that you absolutely need, you don't draw it this game, and then it's in your opening hand of the next game when you don't want it and when it's absolutely worthless. So our opponent here has done a lot of trading with Extortions, as well as Blackwater Cutlass. This kind of makes me think that this is not going to be the standard Miracle Rogue. I'm wondering if this is actually like some kind of weird Death Rattle Rogue. Because I'm not even sure that Jackpot Rogue is playing the Extortions here. And I think, unfortunately, we're just going to get down a Relic of Phantasms. It's not great, but it does buff future relics. And these are also undead minions, so that's going to activate the Nerubian Vizier for next turn. You see here a Door of Shadows. If it is Miracle Rogue, I think this matchup is likely just really bad because we're going to be facing big minions that we're not going to be able to remove at the turn that they're going to be coming down. We're going to keep the faith, and we're going to trust that Hearthstone is going to allow us to draw some cards to potentially be able to play this game, unlike the last game. And is this a location coming down? It is not. And so I have no idea what this deck is going to be then. No idea what our opponent is playing or what the win condition is. This is all just, unfortunately, a little bit strange. So we do have the Relic Vault. I think we can actually just plan on playing this next turn. Even if we top deck a Relic of Dimensions, it's not playable for 2 turns. So I'm going to go ahead and play the Nerubian Vizier. It's going to put a minion on the board, as well as being active. And the Relic of Phantasms, again, it just looks like our best option here is to go ahead and play this. It's playable. It puts 2 minions on the board, it buffs future relics, so that was a really good discover option that we had off the Nerubian Vizier here. Next turn, we're likely going to want to get down Relic Vault almost no matter what happens. Hopefully we'll be able to actually save the Relic Vault charge, though, again, just thinking about the potential of a top deck Relic of Dimensions. So it could be something like Relic Vault and just a Chaos Strike to be able to draw additional cards here. And we see our opponent is playing a lot of cards this turn. Could potentially be like a location turn. Every turn that our opponent goes without being able to get down a location or a Draka, assuming that's their win condition, is going to be good for us. And with more cards being played here, it's starting to feel more and more likely that we're going to see something like a location, just simply because the mana total here, unlikely our opponent's going to be able to get enough mana to be able to play a Draka unless they have like 3 copies of Shadow Step as well as the Mailbox Dancer. So not a whole lot that we can do about that. That's actually a nice top deck for us here, but Chaos Strike it is. We're going to draw a card. Both Relic of Extinctions are good in case our opponent does have just a really strong play next turn. And then we're going to pass it back. So if they do get a big minion on the board, we should be able to remove it with 2 copies of this plus with a Relic Vault. Again, just having to make an assumption about what our opponent's win condition is. We don't know for sure. It was just really strange to see the Silverleaf Poison. And I feel like it was strange to see the trades from Extortion as well here. So when you're unsure about what your opponent is playing, it's best just to focus more on your own game plan. And we see here this is actually looking to be a Garrote Rogue, which is pretty interesting. And keep it in mind, we do have healing available to us. And the Guild Trader as well, so I'm going to just take a trade here. And then it looks like our best option is actually just going to be to play the Nerubian Vizier and discover a spell. And I think we're just going to take the card draw and we're going to play it. Even if we don't get the damage on our opponent's face, it is going to draw us a card. And you can see we hit a Thalnos here, so we'll double punch. So the interesting thing is, you know, we do have 2 Unleash Fells along with a Thalnos and a Predation. So potentially, you know, a top deck Lady Sitheno might actually give us lethal. It's kind of coming to a point where maybe we want to use at least 1 Unleash Fel just to be able to heal. We definitely don't want to go too low because we know that our opponent is playing kind of like a combo game plan. And we could potentially be seeing, well, we're seeing a Neptulon come down, which is pretty interesting. We can remove the Neptulon. We're going to wait and see what our top deck is. But just with the Unleash Fells, we also have a Silvermoon Arcanist. So we could go... The question is, do we want to play these? I think we want to hold at least 1. So we could go... Let's see, this would hit for 5, so it would be 5, 5, 6, 6. So I think we can just go like Arcanist, Unleash Fel for 1 mana, and then use one of these, and then still fit in a hero power. So we're going to go Arcanist, and I want to play this first. Yep. And then you can see here, we just have to play 1 Relic of Extinction. It'll remove both of these guys, which is going to be good for us. Then everything else is just going face. I'm going to go ahead and hero power and swing. You can see we've healed back to full. Our opponent is at 9. We do still have spell power and direct damage available. So feeling like we're in a pretty okay spot here. But again, just not drawing the Relic of Dimensions, even though we have a Relic Vault on the board. So again, a bit of a bad draw for us, unfortunately. But it feels like we're okay, depending on what happens with our opponent. They should be playing a second Garrote, and they likely have, I would assume, spell power minions to increase the damage of those cards as they draw them. But again, we're just playing it safe, we're staying healthy, and just trying to make sure that we combat our opponent's game plan. So this game has been like very, very interesting in that our opponent is playing something different. We don't know exactly what's in their deck. And so again, just trying to play safe and trying to think as much as we can about how much damage our opponent's actually able to do. And we could even have lethal here. So with Thalnos, that would be 2, 4, 8, and hero power. So it looks like this is actually going to be lethal here. So we are going to go ahead and play this out. Hit their hero power, and we're able to kill our opponent here. That's going to do it for the video. Fell Demon Hunter is still a really good deck, fun deck. Keep in mind, Jace is going to rotate along with some of the Fell spells. This deck is going to be gone after the standard rotation, which is set for April 11th. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Uncorrupt, and good luck out on the ladder.